You ever notice how hitting a disguise spy with Uber Saw doesn't give you Uber, but hitting a disguise spy will give you Rage for your buff banner? What's up with that? What's the deal with spies' disguises? You might think you know. You might be saying it can't be that complicated. Well, smart guy, you don't know. I could basically guarantee it. Because going into this, it was just something I was testing for fun, and then I realized that there were so many different factors here, and there was absolutely no consistency to any of it. Spy being a buggy class? Wow, consider me shocked. The most basic thing that I'm sure you're all probably aware of is that disguise spies are immune to normal sources of knockback. And even if you never outright noticed this, your brain did. But something that's worth noting is that for everything in this video, cloaking actually doesn't make a difference. For example, if you're just cloaked, you will take knockback. Where'd he go? Oh. But if you're disguised and cloaked, you'll still be immune. So basically for everything in this video, it's the disguise that potentially makes a difference. But then you say, hey, wait a minute, you lied to me! Disguised spies take knockback from air blast! I'm unsubscribing and shooting myself. Whoa, hey, that's a bit of an overreaction. I mean, yeah, spies do take knockback from air blast, and they also take knockback from the force nature. But unlike air blast, the force nature does significantly less knockback to a disguised spy. I mean, look at the difference here. And that seems like a pretty deliberate design choice. But for the shove on the shortstop, it seems to do the exact same knockback regardless of whether or not the spy is disguised. Also, it's kind of funny that the shove on the shortstop doesn't cause any kind of cloak blink when shoving a disguised spy. Though it can still cause blood to spray out if the spy isn't disguised. It just looks like Scout is shoving so hard that blood is shooting from his hands. That's pretty cool. Also, fun fact, the shove on the shortstop doesn't activate the critical as self-mark for death. How about that? Comment below if you want to see a 15-minute video about what is and isn't affected by the shortstop shove. Okay, so the force nature deals reduced knockback, and the shortstop deals normal knockback, but the soda popper builds hype against disguised spies, where the babyface's blaster won't build boost on them. That's kinda strange. Starting at this range, the flying guillotine will have its cooldown reduced by 1.5 seconds on hit, and that also does work against disguised spies. But the pocket pistol doesn't heal, the Sandman does slow down, the Fan of War doesn't mark a disguised spy for death, and we're only on scout weapons so far. It's gonna get crazy. You also won't heal from hitting a disguised spy that's covered in mad milk. But for some reason, right here, after the milk visibly wore off, the spy undisguised and then cloaked, and I got healed? I don't know how to explain that one. I do also find it interesting that the Mad Milk and the Gas Passer will reveal cloaked spies, but it won't actually show their team color, where Girardi reveals the spy and their team color, which seems kind of overkill to me. I don't think it needs to do both. But yeah, the pocket pistol didn't heal, so that would mean the black box shouldn't either. Oh, but it does. And yes, all three of Soldier's backpacks do build against disguised spies, though unfortunately spies don't get the effect of an enemy soldier's backpack. Which is kinda lame, it might be kinda cool if they did. You know, getting a speed boost from the conch or something. You do both get a speed boost if you hit a disguised spy with a disciplinary action though, which is kinda funny and I like that. I think that's how it should work. So we already saw that Air Blast does affect disguised spies, but what about Pyro's other weapons? The Flog does build the Moomph. The Dragon's Fury does have a faster repressurization rate on hit. The Scorch Shot deals its normal knockback, as does the Thermal Thruster. And the Gas Passer will build from dealing damage to a disguised spy. The only Pyro weapon not to get its on-hit effect is the Hot Hand, which does not get a speed boost. Though I guess it's kinda fitting in a way for nearly all of Pyro's weapons to work against Spy. For Delman, the Caber does explode when hitting a disguised spy, but the Persian Persuader will not give charge on hit. The Loose Cannon will knock back disguised spies, but in like almost the opposite way of the force of nature. It pretty much consistently dealt more knockback to a disguised spy. And I have genuinely no idea why that would be. Has any other human being even noticed this before? Am I the only one with enough free time to check? Probably. It's very strange. For Heavy, the Natasha does not slow down disguised spies, which is a little bit weird because the Sandman does. But no, not the Natasha. The Eviction Notice provides no speed boost on hit. And as expected, the Holiday Punch cannot make a disguised spy laugh. The Thompson, of course, will still drain a disguised spy's cloak, because that's kinda like its whole gimmick, but it won't make that distinct drain sound effect unless the spy is undisguised. The Widowmaker does not return metal on hit, and just as a note, I'm pretty sure the Widowmaker is the only weapon in the game to have its on-hit effect also apply to buildings. I'm like 90% sure that's true. And while not really having an on-hit effect, it is worth mentioning that things like the Rescue Ranger and the Huntsman that make loud crunch sounds when you hit an enemy will still make that sound if you hit a spy. And this one probably doesn't count, but the Gunslinger can still get a third punch crit against a disguised spy. and I just thought this looked funny. For Medic, the Blutsauger does not heal on hit. And I also find it interesting that it doesn't heal on hit even if the Disguised Spy is disguised as his own teammate. So from my perspective, it looks like I'm shooting an enemy engineer, but I'm inexplicably not gaining health. And this actually applies to all of the previous weapons we've seen not work against Disguised Spies. For example, the Widowmaker still won't give metal back even if the spy is disguised as an enemy, the Babyface's blaster won't give boost, the Phantom War won't mark for death, etc, etc. It doesn't matter what the spy is disguised as or as what team, it's just that he's disguised. But the Ubersaw doesn't gain Uber on hit, while the Vitasaw does gain organs on hit. So finally, away the Vitasaw is better than the Ubersaw. The Amputator does heal disguised spies, but the Crossbow does not. The Cleaner's Carbine does build Crikey on hit, and the Sydney Sleeper does recharge Drawdy 1 second faster on headshot. Look at that, how amazing, what a game changer! And for Spy, the old Letranger, that's how you say it, does give Cloak on hit. And I'm pretty sure that's every weapon with an on-hit effect. As you can see, more weapons do still have their effect than not, but I'm sure you could also see that there's absolutely no consistency to this at all. Something like the Black Box heals, but not the Blutsauger or the Pocket Pistol. The Babyface's blaster doesn't build charge, but most other charge weapons do. And I would highly doubt that any of this was actually planned out. I would be surprised if they explicitly picked for some to work and some not to. For most of them, it's probably just an oversight. But from a balance point of view, my take is that none of them should have their effect. Spy checking is already pretty effective and easy to do, so I don't think you really need these things to instantly reveal that a spy is a spy. That doesn't seem very fair. I would even be okay if the crossbow actually healed enemy spies. I think that's more than a fair trade-off for using one of the best weapons in the game that doesn't have any real downsides. And you know what's funny? On the June 23rd, 2009 patch, they made it so that the Force Nature and Air Blast no longer dealt knockback to spies, and that Air Blast would extinguish disguised spies. But they reverted that a whopping 2 days later. I do think that's really interesting though. But of all the things on the list, you could probably keep Air Blast affecting spies. That's probably okay. But it does make me wonder what it was like when it didn't. Just to see as a test. But before we end this video, I've got a bonus for you. What is and isn't affected by the Dead Ringer's Feign? Some weapons have on-hit effects, but others have on-kill effects. And I'll make this one short, because only the Eyelander is affected by the Dead Ringer. You still take a head even if their death was fake. But the Candy Cane doesn't give a health back, the Airstrike doesn't increase your clip, the Hap Zatoichi doesn't heal, though it will allow you to switch weapons without taking damage, the Extinguisher does not give a speed boost, the Power Jack does not heal on kill, the Clay doesn't give charge on kill, nor do the wee booties, the KGB don't give crits, the Warrior Spirit doesn't heal, Sentries don't count Dead Ringers so it can't give crits to the Frontier Justice, the Bizarre Bargain doesn't give a head on headshot, the Hitman Seatmaker doesn't give focus, and the Big Earner does not give cloak or speed boost on kill. So this one is actually pretty consistent, other than the Eyelander. And again, I feel like an all or nothing approach is the better option here. The Eyelander probably doesn't need to get a free head. I think it'd probably be just fine if it didn't have that, the Eyelander down when I to live. But what about something like a Bonk Scout? The Babyface's blaster still builds boost, the Pocket Pistol still heals, Mad Milk will heal if you're covered beforehand, but the Soda Popper doesn't gain hype. That means that the Soda Popper and the Babyface's blaster are basically the opposite here as they were against the Disguised Spy. And it's actually the same deal with the Black Box, where that was the only health on hit weapon that worked against the Spy, but also is the only one that doesn't work against a Bonk Scout. You don't get Rage from Bonk Scouts either, but the Vitasaw gives organs, the Ubersaw gives Uber, the Phlogiston doesn't give Oomph, the Persuader gives charge on hit, and at this point I just gave up. It's too much to keep track of. We're already off the rails here. Nobody came here for a Bonk video. Comment below if you want a Bonk video. And yeah, this was really just something that I was testing for myself out of pure curiosity, and I figured, hey, I don't think any other person has cataloged everything that does and doesn't work against the Disguised Spy, so it might as well be me, and I might as well make it a video. And I did. And it's also over, so hopefully that was kind of interesting. But yeah, thanks for watching, and a special thanks to my patrons like Varick, Captain Forex, Egox, Colonel, Probably Vinegar, Caponicus, Kelso the Pirate, Pilsman's Fox, Kyber96, Scout with a Name, Glump, Salt God, Lavi, Taupe, Time Consuming, Man344, Nolan46, and Melodici. Alright, okay, peace out, dogs.